of my lens here. All right. Uh, grab my glasses and my water. And let's let's get started. So today is Pi Day 3.14, um, a holiday celebrated by geeks like myself. So um, it's always nice to actually do this with a slice of pie. I don't have any. Thinking, uh, I guess I could, if I really wanted to, I could run up to the supermarket and get some. The funny thing is, I didn't think of getting any yesterday. I was literally at the supermarket yesterday, and I completely forgot that yesterday being Friday the 13th and it's March, that today would be Pi Day. I completely forgot. I usually do because it's not a major like cultural holiday. I usually forget. Hey, what's up, Carlton? Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah, Pi Day is just I don't know when that started. I think that started in the 2000s or the 90s with amongst geeks. I think the Big Bang Theory really popularized nerd culture because the funny thing is like a lot of the stuff you see in Big Bang Theory is now trendy now, but when they first came out in 2007, that was a year before like Marvel really made it trendy to be on like geek culture. But yeah, um but I think Big Bang Theory, for all the people who typically talk bad about it, it kind of popularized nerd culture. What's up, Karina? I see why people make fun of it because it's a it's a sitcom about smart people made for dumb people. And the funny thing is when smart people watch it, um, it kind of turns them off because it seems like the jokes are at the expense of the smart characters on the show. Um, because most of them are like autistically coded, um, and making it seem like there's like a positive correlation, that there's like a strong positive relationship between being extremely smart and being extremely socially awkward, and that's actually not true by psychological research. It's actually quite the opposite. Gifted people actually tend to be more socially well adjusted and healthy compared to the general population. Carlton says, hit the like button, everyone, please. Um, well, yeah, that's something most people like. Most people think, you watch stuff like Big Bang Theory or Revenge of the Nerds, or basically anything about nerds coming out of the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, and you think they're all like socially maladjusted, that some of them are like on the spectrum, um, that they're, or some of them are cringe, and it's actually not like that. Is you Yeah. Carlton said I know a lot of dumb people that are socially awkward. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it tends to be that way, not the other way. People of high IQ and especially people who are actually gifted, um, actually tend to be very socially well adjusted and tend to be healthier folks. The only problem amongst sometimes gifted people, particularly like gifted children, is that they often need special education. I've talked about this like a few years ago. Dude, don't come in here preaching the gospel of Jesus. Where were you when I was doing my religious debates? Where were you on my religious debates? I hate you motherfuckers with a passion because I've been doing 2 weeks of religious discussions just for people like you, and none of you motherfuckers show up. And then you come into my live streams that has nothing to do with religion. So shut the fuck up. Period. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. um, and it's on top of that, it's something really fucking wrong with some of you motherfuckers trying to proselytize in a fucking live stream. Go do that shit on your own time. Go to church with that bullshit. I guarantee most of you are fucking retarded or autistic. That's why y'all come in a live stream trying to proselytize to people that has nothing to do with the fucking subject. Idiot. Anyway, as I was stating, so with gifted people, sometimes they can go awry in society just because a lot of folks don't aren't aware that gifted people need special education too. Most people think only the folks on the other end of the of the of the bell curve need special education. The folks of lower IQ and who suffer intellectual dysfunction, um, well, they do need special education, but the problem is all the resources are thrown to people who have limited capacity to learn, which doesn't make that much sense. Like throwing all your throwing all your special education resources to people who already have a very limited capacity to learn isn't really good for the betterment of society. Like I'm not saying that resources shouldn't be given to those with intellectual dysfunction or um, you know, intellectual disabilities or just, of below average IQ. But for if we're looking towards, you know, a productive society, more of those resources should be given also to gifted children as well, because again, they need special education as well. A lot of them flounder in school because they're stuck in classes that are too slow for them. So they become bored, they become easily bored and distracted. And to the lay person, it just seems like they're just a mediocre student, when actually it's the case that the the uh, the content of the education is moving too slowly for them. And so usually, because again, a lot of public education isn't really set up to accommodate gifted children, but rather to accommodate the average child and resources for below average or intellectually dysfunctional students, that what they do for gifted children, they just skip them ahead a few grades, um, so that they to give them something they that is more their pace. That is, I mean, that's cool, but a better thing would be to actually put them in special education classes at the same grade level as their peers, that cater to their exceptional abilities. I don't know if it's facts. I know a guy who was sleeping in class, but he always made straight A's. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was I can't. I mean, I don't know for sure because this is just anecdotal, but it is highly likely that if tested with on standardized tests, he would probably have been shown to have been gifted or a very high IQ. Because like I said, for a lot of gifted and high IQ students, the 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 regular classes go too slow. So I mean, a lot of schools had like AP classes and GT classes. AP classes aren't necessarily for gifted children. They're just for kids who want to get ahead by getting some college credit while they're still in high school. And those classes aren't really that hard. I've been in a I've taken an AP class or two. It wasn't like I taken AP English. It wasn't hard. Um, it's just that uh, it was just more upon you. Like the only difference with AP classes was the teacher doesn't hold your hand to make sure you're doing all your assignments. Similar to like in college, like no one's going to hold your hand and make sure you're doing the work. Um, but other than that, and one of my other schools, they didn't have AP. They called it GT, gifted and talented, but it worked the same way. I think they still um, allowed you to take advanced placement exams. Uh, Hearts. It says I saw someone dance every day and they got A's and they did bad in class. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like some like I said, they are exceptionally bright students sometimes stuck in classes meant for the average student. And I mean I'm not trying to diss, but for people of very high intellect, average the average student is a moron. Like the class, I've seen it like when and so my senior year, like the first semester I took an AP course, but I couldn't take the AP course the second semester because it messed with the rest of my curriculum. So I ended up taking a regular class, English class, so I could also do a I forgot what it was. It was like a no. Okay, so I end up leaving the AP class to take either honors or just college regular regular college bound English course so that I also could do this other course with that same English teacher where I worked as his assistant, um, something like that. And the regular English class seemed like it was made. It was regular English, like regular English for like you know um, college bound students, but it wasn't honors English because I've always been in either honors English or AP English. And the regular English class, those students seemed like straight up morons. And and this wasn't even in Baltimore. This was in Montgomery County, where typically the students are a bit brighter than your average city student in Baltimore. And the normal the normal English class, they seem like morons. And I'm not saying I'm that smart. I don't really believe that I'm exceptionally bright just because I've seen so many other much brighter people than myself. But I gotta say that the re- the regular English class, I thought that was a class for slow people. Like I was like, why are they so goofy? And this was like a senior. This was like a senior level class. This wasn't like ninth or 10th grade English. Like these were 12th graders, and they acted like they were like 11 years old. I'm like, what the like? Because even the teacher, he was like, "You sure you want to do this?" He, he said, "Since you were in AP English," I was like, I was like, I would, but I can't because I need that other class. He's like, oh, okay, I see. Because even my AP English teacher, she was kind of dismayed that I left her class, which in hindsight I shouldn't have. I should have just stayed in her class because I enjoyed it. Um, in hindsight, yeah, I should have stayed in her class, but his I wanted to take that as do that other class where I was the teacher's assistant because it allowed me time to like work on my college applications and stuff like that, which in hindsight wasn't even necessary because I ended up just going to Montgomery College that first year anyway. Even though I was initially applying to go to these 4-year universities, I ended up just going to Montgomery College my first year. So it didn't it was sort of a waste of time to do that assistant um ship or whatever it was. I forgot. Like I was like taking French 5, AP English. Like I should have just stayed in that. But anyway, the point was you didn't have to be exceptionally bright for the AP English class. You just needed to do your work and be able to like contribute to the conversation in class. Uh, But um, all that is to say that public education isn't really geared towards um, bright or gifted students. It's there is geared towards the average student. What does normally happen though is that um, when teachers or guidance counselors recognize that students are exceptionally bright, they will tend to give them more attention and resources to help them get into a good school. I mean, get into a good college or whatever, because it looks good upon it looks good upon the high school that they can say that one of their students went on to X, Y, and Z university, and be like, yeah, so because it's a good reflection on the school to say, yeah, we had a certain amount of students that went to Harvard, to Princeton. We had a student that was a Rhodes Scholar or a Fulbright Scholar. The Fulbright Scholar, that was what I was trying to remember yesterday, Carlton. That was that's the rival scholarship to Rhodes. The Rhodes Scholarship is the Fulbright Scholarship. The Fulbright Scholarship works this in a similar way. Like you end up once you graduating going off to England, but instead of going to Oxford, you go to Cambridge, which is Oxford's rival. Like Cambridge is Cambridge is the Yale to Oxford's Harvard, if that makes sense. Um, and some people actually prefer Fulbright because the benefactor, well, not the benefactor, the person of which the scholarship, the program is named after, um, wasn't considered a wasn't considered this colonial uh this problematic colonialist like Cecil Rhodes was. Cecil Rhodes was the guy who may have heard of, like, when a country like the former country of Rhodesia in Africa was named after. Um, I'm not giving anyone shout outs unless you putting in the super chat. No. Anywho, and that's my warning to everyone. Super chat if you want recognition on anything other than like your comments. Um, but anyway, so the Fulbright, like, so if a guidance counselor or a teacher realizes a student is exceptionally bright, they're gonna pay more attention to them and help them succeed. So in that sense, schools will kind of look out for the gifted students, or the ones who just show like uh, um a genuine interest in the academic subjects. Like my biology teacher, she saw that I was someone who actually cared about what we were studying. So she she gave a damn about me. um, but I messed up a lot of my high school career because I tried so hard trying to appeal to stupid people. Something that my father did warn me about. He's like, stop trying to be cool. He was like, the cool kids are going to be the ones pumping your gas when you become an adult. And I didn't realize he was speaking from experience until later as an adult, when he was like, he took me back to my grandmother's old neighborhood. And he was like, some of these people in the neighborhood are the same kids I grew up with, and they're still around doing the same thing, doing nothing. He's like, I'm still cool with them. I still say hi, but it's like, he's like, I can't. He's not like I'm going to hang with them anymore or anything like that. Like, I've moved beyond them. And I've done the same thing with friends that I've known, like, who, dropped out of high school and um, maybe had some learning disabilities, but um, they're like like one of my friends. I haven't I haven't seen him in like 10 years, but when I saw him, I was initially excited to see him until I realized, even though we were in our late 30s, that and I think he may have already hit 40, but at the time, this was like 10 years ago. But even though we were like in our late in our late 30s, he was still acting like the same guy I knew when he was still 17. And like it was so bad that even by like my junior year of high school, I was starting to notice like he was kind of goofy. Like he was still a good guy, but my friend um my friends who are our age, like they started looking at him like he's goofy. He and his twin brother, they both were very immature. And I realized I think they probably had some sort of intellectual disabilities. Carlton says some people have arrested development. It was definitely a case of arrested development, Carlton. Like yo, because he was like my best friend for a while. My first couple of years in school, because I ended up going to three different high schools, and so when I came back to Baltimore in the ninth grade, I didn't have any friends anymore because one of my closest friends, like he used to live in a group home, and when I came back, I couldn't find him because he used to always come over to my place and hang out with me. Um, like I never went to his place because he lived in a group home, and so when I moved briefly to Philly and came back half a year later, I don't know if he was still at that group home, he went to a different one, or he ended up somewhere else. But I guess he never, he had gave up trying to see if I was coming back or whatever. I guess because I didn't have a number to call him. This is why I'm so in, this is a tangent, but this is why I'm so envious of young people today, where they have social media, so you never have to lose friends anymore. I The one thing I do appreciate about social media is that you can always stay in touch with people in a way that we couldn't in the 90s or the 80s. Um, like I wish I could have kept touch with all the people I known across the several states and cities that I lived in as a kid, always moving around. That shit sucked. And losing good friends. So in any case, like I didn't have any friends, and this guy, randomly came over my house one day wanting to like talk about comic books, and he gave me his Wolverine trade paperback. So I showed him my Batman trade paperback. We exchanged comics and started reading them, um, and we just became good friends like instantly, just like that. And I used to go over his place. He came over mine. My mom liked him. Um, but by like my junior year, it seemed like he was still like because he was like a 2 years older than me. Um, but by my senior year, he seemed still the same guy I knew back in the ninth grade, but I had it matured in those few years. And then my senior year, I ended up moving to the DC area, and so I didn't hang out with him that whole year until I came back 2 years later when I was 19. Well, I briefly came back to Baltimore because I had a falling out with my father, so I was staying at my grandmother's place for a bit until I worked things out, and I connected with him again, and he and his twin brother, had dropped out of high school, and I remember his mom saying, "Well, at least you finished school," because I was in community college at the time, um, but even then it was like, it was like he was still cool, but like he still was acting like the 16, 17-year old that I knew, even though like I said, by the time I had reached my junior year of high school, he was seeming a little bit immature, and his brother was worse than he was. But anyway, back to my point, my original point, because I made several points, but back to my original point that yeah, gifted people need special education as well. And I mean, like I said, so don't like I said, the normal shortcut for people who don't have access to specialized education for gifted children, like the movie Class Act with Kid and Play, like that was a public school that had like a whole wing of the school for special education. For the special education of gifted children. That is actually what I would be talking about. If people have, I know a lot of people never saw the movie Class Act, and if you did, you got grays in your hair like I do. But if you ever seen the movie Class Act, that is what I'm talking about. And there's actually something very um, similar to that in real life public education. It's called the IB program, the International Baccalaureate program. I remember my school in Baltimore actually started that. Unfortunately, I wasn't eligible for it because you had to start it in the ninth grade, and they didn't start it until I was in the 11th grade. Uh, and as a result of them starting the IB program at my high school, shout out to Milford Mill Academy, but be, because they had started that, they renamed the school from Milford Mill Senior High School to Milford Mill Academy because of they had the IB program, so they were feeling themselves like, oh, we're Milford Mill Academy now. But it was cool. Like I was like genuinely envious. I'm like, man, I wish I could be in that IB program. But you had to come to it in the ninth grade. Like you had to start your education in the ninth grade to be in the IB program. But Carlton, did you ever see Class Act? Uh, but yeah, so if you ever saw that, like I said, that was very similar to the IB, the International Baccalaureate program that a lot of public schools have and private schools have it as well. Like I said, it was like because when they renovated the high school, that was a whole like it was a whole different part of the school that we didn't have access to. Only the people in the IB program did. I'm like, damn, this is literally like the movie Class Act. It was literally like the movie Class Act. Like they had their own little wing of the school separate from the rest of the school. And I knew I was, I used to flirt with this girl that was in the program. I don't know why I never dated her. She liked me. But anyway, and then there was a dude that was in it who was like 2 years younger than me. He was cool though, even though he was younger than me. And but I never asked him about the program that really. I just hung out with them a little bit during school. But yeah, I wish I could have done something like the IB program. It would have probably kept me being being separated from the morons would have kept me from trying so hard to appeal to dumb people. Like I tried to change the way how I talked. I tried to like I dumbed down my speech, which is funny now because now people always sound say that I'm trying to talk um that some people think the way I naturally talk is that I'm trying to be like not pedantic, but I am pedantic. But then I'm trying to, put on airs or talk in a way that's not natural for me. Like when I use so-called big words or whatever, that's naturally how I talk. It's actually it's actually uncomfortable when I have to dumb myself down, which is one of the things I loved about college is that I never felt like I had to dumb down how I talked. Um, so that was one of the that's one of the things I loved about college. I felt I could be I was I was most I was in my most natural setting outside of the army. I love the army too, but I'll be honest. I had to sometimes dumb myself down in the army. I did have to dumb myself down in the army quite a bit. Um, but it was really good folks in the army. But yeah, college was my most natural setting. I don't know if I would be as comfortable in a college setting now today with the radical left views that have taken over universities. Like even like one of my friends was pointing out a professor that he really liked. And then when he gave me his when he pointed her out on Instagram, it was showing like her affidavit. I mean, not her affidavit. It was showing her credentials, and I was like, this person sounds like some wild radical left person. And so he took a look at it again himself. He was like, yeah, you're right. He's like, she wasn't known for that stuff back when I known her as a professor. I was like, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So um, I might not like the college setting as much as I did back 20, 25 years ago. I was like 25, 30 years ago. Yes, shit, it's been that fucking long. But but um I would probably still prefer it over the the average cretin I meet on the street. Because like I said, at least on college campuses, I didn't have to dumb myself down. But now it seems like on a college setting, I might still have to dumb myself down, but in a different way. Not dumb myself down as far as my speech, but to have to dumb myself down in the sense that a lot of people have lost their ability to be analytical, which is why they take bullshit majors like gender studies and shit like that. um, Carlin says, I remember being dumb was cool, shaking my head. Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. Like the funny thing is I didn't know until like when report cards came out that a lot of the kids that were pretending to be dumb were actually pretty damn bright. Like most of them were on honor, like at my school in Baltimore. Um, Most of the kids, like I realized, were doing the same thing as me. They were dumbing themselves down to fit in because when report cards came out, like all the kids who were on honor roll um, got to do were separated from the ones who weren't that didn't make honor roll, right? And I realized, oh, most of these kids are doing well in school. I thought they were all like, just to use an army phrase, just smoking and joking. But no, like a lot of them were doing well, but they were pretending, they were just pretending to not be bright, which kind of explains why they were friends with me. um, like a lot of them were just pretending to be dumb, but almost all of them were on a roll. Ended up going to college, which is good. This is Baltimore. Well, this is Baltimore suburbs, but we had a lot of kids that were coming from the city that went to our school, and I was surprised that so many kids were doing well with grade wise. And then some of them were in GT classes because we didn't have AP in my Baltimore school. We did in my DC school. We didn't have AP in my Philly school either because it was already like a special magnet program. Um, but yeah, I tried so hard being cool and messing up my grades and stuff that I didn't realize that I I didn't realize I could have just did what they were doing. I could have just pretended to be dumb while actually doing well in school. I didn't know how to walk that fine line, but that's because I didn't know this that was what the others were doing until it was too late. So uh, it was high school was interesting. Not something I would go back to. And honestly, I don't try to reconnect with old high school friends unless they were people that I was still in touch with in college. The ones I was still in touch with in college are the ones I'm still cool with probably to this day. But the other ones, like the ones I left behind in high school, like I'll still say hello to them, but they're not someone I'm gonna hang out with. Like I said, my old friend I met 10 years ago. Because even before I met up with him, like 2 years prior, my mom was like, "Hey, I saw your friend Brent such and such." I was like, "Okay, cool." But I guess she thought I wanted to like get his information so I could hang out with him, but I wasn't interested because like the last time I had already saw him when I was 19 and he was 21, he was still acting like we were. He was still acting like when I was like when he was 17. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. and that proved to be prescient because when I did finally meet up with him that year or 2 years later, like I saw him, I think on the bus. He was still the same. He was still trying to dress like he was Tupac or whatever. And this is 2015. This is like around 2015. He's still trying to look like Tupac. You know, I connected with him on social media. He was still acting kind of immature. Then I found out his brother was even worse. Like one of my homeboys I hang out with, uh, he said he saw the guy outside a store with a ghetto blaster, like blasting music. Like it was the fucking like 80s or early 90s. But mind you, the guy's like 40 now, like doing this. It was like, what are you doing? And so I was like, I was embarrassed for him. I was like, that's a shame because they were really good guys back in high school. But like Carlton said, it was a case of arrested development. And like I said, I kind of got the hint that they probably had some sort of intellectual disability because their mother, uh, I didn't meet, talk with their mother all that much. Um, but she definitely has some psychiatric issues. Like they were biracial, they were half black, half white. But you wouldn't initially know it because they were both brown skinned. But you could tell, their facial features and their straight hair. But their mother would be like, "Fuck you, you goddamn niggers," and all this. I'm like, God damn, what the hell? Because the mom was white. She would be just cussing them out. Like I don't know, she I don't know if she had Tourette's. I'm sorry, I don't know if she had Tourette syndrome or it was something off with her definitely. And whatever the case was with her, like it seemed like they definitely had a limited. They weren't the brightest people in the world, but because they were 2 years older than me, that wasn't apparent to me when I was 14. It didn't start, like I said, it wasn't until I was 16 that I started thinking there was something a little bit off with them. But I definitely knew by the time I was 19. When I reconnected with them, moving back to Baltimore. Carmen says I think Nas wrote a song called "Stuck in the '90s." Oh, I haven't heard that. I might have to look out for that. I think, ironically, I think a lot of people who love Nas music are stuck in the '90s. Because I'm like, I mean, he's moved on and been still making other music, but he's one of those guys that I think you would have loved if you were all about '90s hip hop. So, but it's funny he would write a song called "Stuck in the '90s" when back in 2006 he also had the song "Hip Hop Is Dead." So, uh, Carter says, "Wow, calling her own kids the N word is wild." Yeah, that's how it took me. That took me for a shock, but it must have been something they were used to hearing because they didn't even react to it. Like they just it's like they were like reacting the same way someone would react to anyone who has a mom who's just being angry. Like they just kind of ignore it. But to have a white mom calling them a bunch of effing niggers was wild. I'm like, yo, what's up, DC Lefford? But anyway, all that's getting back to like today's Pi Day, a holiday celebrated by by nerds like myself. In the celebration of that, I'm gonna put on my reading glasses so I can set this my phone up and I can have my hands free. I'm just wiping off my glasses first. Da-da-da. All right, set this up right here. You guys tell me if you can't hear me. Holla if you hear me. I'm talking about Tupac. Yeah. So no. So he did used to dress up like Tupac. Like he used to shave his head and have the bandana. And it was funny because the girls were like, "Oh, why he shaved?" Because some of the girls who knew that he was that he and his brother had straight hair was like, "Oh, why he shave his hair off?" They was like, because they used to get, they used to get the bitches off that. They got. I'm not gonna lie, they got the bitches because they had the silky hair. But like I said, because they were brown skin, you wouldn't have immediately known it. And then so when they shaved their head to look like Tupac, especially the one I used to hang with, I was cool with his brother too, but I was best friends with him and was just cool with his brother by by proxy. And I knew something was off. Like I said, I knew something was. Thanks for telling me you can hear me, by the way. But I knew it was something off with them. Um, like I said, by the time I was in junior high school, because like my other friends who were my age or younger used to laugh used to laugh at him. Well, I'll say his name because it's not like he know. My friend Brent and his brother's name was Brian, and so they used to always laugh at Brent for doing goofy stuff. Like for some reason, he bought a really old fucking beeper. Like this is like 1994, and he had this really old beeper, like a beeper from like the late '80s or some late early, mid to early '80s. You know the big black ones, not the little ones you stick, not the little normal size ones you clip on your belt or whatever. It was like one of those. Uh, it was like one that the old pages that were like the size of a smartphone. If those are really old school. Like I haven't seen one of those since the '80s, and the only time I used to see those were like in shows with like doctors or whatever. Those really old big black pagers. So he had one of those, and it went off. And that shit was like, and so one of my homeboys, the house we were hanging with him, he was like, "Yo, let me go." So my homeboy can use the phone. He's like his damn pager rattling my walls. I cried laughing. It was just like constant stuff like that, like just showing lack of judgment. Like he had already knocked some girl up. Um, his uh his his junior year of his junior year of high school. Um, so he had a daughter. He had got locked up for like a few days for doing some dumb shit. I think involving that ex girlfriend. Um, he, he got he got into a fight with that same guy, my friend's stepfather. He got into a fight with him over some dumb shit while we were like out drinking 40s one night. Yeah, that was stupid. But anyway, just doing dumb stuff. And so Brett would just do goofy stuff that we would laugh at him about. But people used to think his brother Brian was was cooler than Brent. And maybe he was, but to me, I thought he was dumber than Brent because well maybe just because of basically just one incident, really, but it was bad enough for me. So like I was going over to this girl house, like she said I could come over. And so I'm expecting the tap. I'm not gonna even hold you. I was expecting to like she invited me over there because she wanted me to crack. I'm pretty sure she wanted me to crack. You know what I'm saying? I was about to lay the pipe like Super Mario. But he decided to come like he saw me going over there. He just caught up with me. He was like, yo, I'm on. What's up?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just heading over this girl house to hang out." He's like, "All right, I'll go with you." And I'm like, "Okay." I didn't care because you know I like when you a dude like when you were young, you just like hanging out with your friends. It didn't really matter. So I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." So he's with me and he's eating a box of ginger snaps, right? He has a whole fucking box of ginger snaps just steadily eating these motherfuckers. I didn't even think about it. So when we went to the girl house, like she and I was, we just like talking. She was sitting on her computer playing solitaire. And I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And she was showing me the game because it wasn't like with the cards, but it was like on her little desktop computer. She was showing me. We were sitting next to each other, and she was like, so for all the people who think I never dated black chicks, I dated black chicks, and not only that, I used to date dark skinned chicks. Like my first girlfriend was a dark skinned woman, like I'm brown skinned, but she was dark skinned. And this particular girl I was going to see that I was planning on cracking that day was was dark skinned, but she was really cute. Um, and so I introduced her to him, and then he was just sitting there chilling, or whatever. Um, and then I was talking with her, and we were just like flirting back and forth. She even though she was like dark skinned, like you could tell like she was blushing or whatever. So, but this Negro was there, and he was like, "Hey, can I use your bathroom?" So he was in the bathroom for like a minute, so I already knew what time it was with that. And so she and I was talking and all that, and she was like, "Yeah, my folks coming home soon." I was like, "Oh, word." I was like, "All right." I was like, I can come back over another time, whatever, whatever." And she was like, "Cool." She was like, "That's fine." And so Brian comes out the bathroom, and so I was like, "All right, yo, we gotta go." Our folks about to come. He's like, "All right," and he said goodbye to her. We left, and then when we left the apartment, he was like, yo, I had to take a mad. He said these cookies were fucking me up. I had to take a big shit in her bathroom. He was like, the toilet wouldn't flush. I was like, oh my god, what? I was like, no, you can't. He's like, I couldn't. He said, I couldn't flush it. I was like, oh my god. I was like, she's gonna think we're the worst. I did not go back over there. The next time I saw her, she didn't say shit to me. She was mad. This dude, he wasn't even invited. He just decided to tag along with me to a girl's house he's never met before and take a shit in her bathroom. He doesn't even know her. Decided like and if you weren't a 90s kid, you don't know this because I can't speak for millennials and I can't speak for Gen Z, but Gen X kids did not want to use the bathroom anywhere else but at their own home. We would not do number twos in school unless it was an emergency. Like we used to tell teachers that because one of the teachers, she was like, I don't understand why won't you guys? We was like, we're not trying to get caught taking a shit in high school. They was like, that's too embarrassing. She's like, well, if I gotta go, I'm just gonna go. I was like, no, we ain't doing it. It's like, plus, it's like, man, we was like, man, public bathrooms are dirty. It's like, I want to be at home where I know it's clean. So I would never fathom like using someone's toilet like to do a number two. Like to pee, sure. And even then I wouldn't want to really do it because it's a girl and I don't know her. But for her to be a perfect stranger and he was comfortable enough to have to have diarrhea in her fucking toilet and then to fucking break the goddamn toilet because it, he said especially a gas station. Yeah, I ain't fucking with gas stations. Shit, plus you might get raped at a gas station. I'm not gonna even hold you. We know how it goes down in gas stations. Like Big Dick Bubba driving them diesel trucks across state lines. He just came from Dakota to Maryland. Now he need to shine up his Johnson on something. Anyway, but but yo, so I was so embarrassed. I was because at first I wanted to run back to her apartment and try to help her fix the toilet so we could flush it. But I realized her parents are coming home, so I was like, oh fuck, that's even messed up. Because how is she gonna explain that? So either she'll have to either she would get in trouble telling her parents like she had people over without their permission, guys, or she would have to take the L. Either way, she's taking the L. But either it would be a like either she's gonna have to tell her folks that she dropped the deuce and broke the toilet, or or she'll get in trouble by saying she had company over and they used her bathroom and broke the toilet. Like it was a no-win situation for her, so I don't blame her for not talking to me again, and I blame myself for letting Brian accompany me to this girl's house. That shit was crazy because I'm not saying I would have smashed, but we probably would have made out or whatever if he weren't there. Like she was obviously feeling me, you know what I'm saying? Uh, that junior year, I started becoming very popular because I was a geek the first 2 years. I was a like I was a nerd and a little bit of a dork. I was like the little martial arts dork my first 2 years of high school. So when got into my junior year, I started suddenly becoming cool because again, I was trying so hard to appeal to the cool kids that I started hanging out with them, and then one of my friends that I started hanging out with, um, he I didn't dumb myself down around him, and his parents actually liked me because they realized that I wasn't one of these little morons like my friend Brent. So they always told him to let me come over and stay because they knew my volatile situation with my mother at the time, how poorly she used to treat me. So they always told me just come over there so I don't have to be stressed out at home. But he was a really popular kid. He had just came from New York, and people had liked his little New York swag. And so me hanging out with him and these other guys just elevated my status. And so I was pulling chicks. I wasn't really smashing, but I was pulling, but I was definitely pulling chicks. And something like that just fucked me up. I'm like, why the fuck? I was like, that's when I realized there's something wrong with these two dudes. Carla says, I know her daddy was like, it smelled like mesh. I don't even know if she had a daddy, but even her mom would have recognized that was not that wasn't a shit the little girl took. But she probably would have. But like I said, she would have had to probably lie and pretend that she did it so she wouldn't get in trouble and acknowledge that she had company over when her parents weren't home. Because like I said, I was 16 at the time. I think she was like 15. Brian was like 18. So fucking fucking stupid. Just fucking dumb. Seriously. Um like and like Brent didn't do dumb shit like that, but he could sometimes be embarrassing too. Like he would just like he he would just go to people's because that's how he and I became friends, ironically. But the same way he and I became friends actually annoyed a lot of other people, where he would just randomly come over to people's house that he recognized from school and try to hang out with them. And people and like some people was like cool with it, but other people was like, it was like, nah, dude, I don't even know you like that. Like I'm busy. But that's how he and I became friends. But like I said, not everyone appreciated that approach of him just like seeing people that he knew and just coming over their house and seeing if they wanted to talk and hang out. He said that's a classic '90s story. Is it? Is that a? I guess that is a really classic '90s story. But he embarrassed he embarrassed me. He embarrassed the girl with her parents because and could have potentially got her in trouble if she had to admit that she had some friends over without their permission. And I didn't even get a smash. She was mad cute. She didn't even talk to me afterwards after that. And I think I had her number, but she saw me. She didn't say anything. If I had more of my if I had more of the social grace that I have now, or that I had later once I went on to college, seeing the awkwardness of the situation with her, I would have ran up the next time I saw her and she didn't say anything. I would immediately ran up to her apologized and asked if she wanted to um, get something to eat on me and see what happened with the situation and if I could do anything to rectify it. I would have took the L if I had to be the hero. I would have took the L and said I did it to her folks and offered whatever to you know whatever remedy. Like I said, if I had the social graces that I had at 26, at 16, but I unfortunately I didn't. I was still a goofy kid at 16. But yeah, I guess that is a classic 90s story. But all that just goes to show like this is why you have to move on from some friends because they will hold you back because they can't move on in their life. And my father warned me of that both when I was 13 and later on as an adult. Um, like I said, you know, going to my grandmother's house, a place where he grew up in East Baltimore, a really bad area, and clean these glasses off again. And you know, he telling me that a lot of these kids were his friends when he was a kid, but they're still stuck in the same place they were, you know, 30 plus some years ago. And now I see the same situation with me with friends I had 30 years ago that I won't hang with now, which is Brent and Brian. So shout out to them though. But yeah, I'm definitely not hanging out with them. Like I said, last time I met up with Brent in 2015, he still seemed like he was still acting the same way like back when we were in the 90s. According to some people are in lives just for a season and not a lifetime. Yeah. And then it dawned on me also with my younger friend that I hang out with occasionally now. He's the guy who's in my videos when we're in the car. So when I'm doing them car conversations, this is the guy I'm talking about currently. So he was telling me that he's like, because we had these conversations before as well. And he was like, man, I know people that peaked in middle school. And I was like, what? In middle school? I think one in one of our videos we actually have this conversation. If you want to dive if you want to dive into some of my older videos, we do actually have this conversation on video. But he told me he knew kids that peaked in middle school. And I was like, who the fuck peaks in middle school? He was like, no, there were people who peaked in middle school. I'm like, that's fucking sad. I was like, I think it's sad if you peaked in high school, but in middle school, that's just pathetic at that point. I was like, I was like, honestly, I didn't, I didn't peak to the end of college. Like I didn't even peak when I first went to college. I peaked at the end of college as a super senior. That's when I peaked as a super senior in college. Like that's normally one of the best eras of your life as a young person. That is not. It shouldn't be the best era of your life ever. I was just thinking that too, Carlton. He said reminds me when Al Bundy peaked when he scored 4 touchdowns in one game at Polk High. I was literally just, I was literally thinking that, but I thought that was gonna be such an old school reference, no one would understand it. But then I did just pull out the class act reference, and most people don't. I'm pretty sure most people who aren't our age have never seen the movie Class Act. By the way, if you guys haven't seen it, you can go see it. It's on Tubi right now. You can go see Class Act. Yo, Demeter, why ain't you gonna play with my frog? But yeah, Class Act is a classic kid and play movie. So guys, you can go see that on Tubi. I swear the shout outs I be giving to like some of these uh places, these streaming platforms and companies and stuff, I ought to be getting paid for this. Really should be, but I'm not. So don't think I'm getting paid to give these little shout outs to people. I have not been sponsored by anybody. So anything I've ever told you guys to go check out was just because I actually like it. I'm not getting paid to say so. I'm not a paid I'm not a paid spokesman for anyone yet. Hope to be though. I'm only a spokesman for myself. But anyway, go check out Class Act on Tubi. It's funny. Classic 90s. But yeah, it definitely reminds me of how Al Bundy peaked. At least Al Bundy peaked doing something actually like serious. Like he won the the he won the football championship for his high school with the 4 touchdowns in one game at Polk High. Ended up getting Peggy pregnant and all that good stuff. That was a bad idea, but oh, we got a message held for review. It's about to be some dumb shit. Yep, it is. And it's supposedly a girl, but I'm pretty sure it's a guy pretending to be a girl. But I'm gonna just block them all the same, because I don't deal with retards. I'm so glad that we've renormalized the terms retard and gay, so that we can call people out on doing dumb shit that we couldn't in the 2010s because we were all worried about being politically correct and woke. Even myself. Let me close these blinds. Yeah. It's dark now, so I want the light beaming outside so people can look inside. But yeah, I'm so glad we moved beyond that era of political correctness. But in any case, guys, not gonna hold you for long. I wish I could find some pie for National Pie Day. 3.14. Like I said, that's why I'm talking all this geeky stuff. But yeah, that is sad if someone like looking at it now, it's sad for people who peaked in high school because I've seen people, so many people like that. I remember seeing one guy. I was working, I think at Sears. This was like 20, ooh, 27 years ago. Um, I was working at Sears before I went before I started before I started at University of Maryland. Before I transferred to University of Maryland, rather. And I saw this guy come in who I knew in high school. This dude was one of the coolest dudes ever. Like they used to call him Teddy Pac because Brent thought he looked like Tupac. Then the other guy they say he looked like Tupac as well. They used to call him Teddy Pac. He used to smash mad bitches in high school. So he was even in the in a rap video because one of his friends, who was also a friend of mine, he was basically just a friend of mine because his sister and my cousin were really close friends. He ended up becoming a rapper, and he actually had a hit that went viral, but he was like a one hit wonder. His name was Be Rich. I don't know if you remember that song that came out in the early 2000s by Be Rich, and it had it sampled that it sampled the music from Good Times. And you know the guy was from Baltimore, and like they had this music video, and I knew just about everyone in the video because they were all the people that used to hang we used to all hang with back in the day. These were like all the knuckleheads, not the cool ones that were actually smart. Like I was talking about earlier, these were all the cool kids that were the dummies. And I don't know what happened to B Rich. His real name was Brian, not related to the other Brian that I mentioned earlier, who's a twin. This other guy was Brian. That's why his name was B Rich. That was his real name, just Brian Rich. And his sister was cute. But anyway, he had that one hit wonder back in the day. Back, I think this. I think it was like a hit song back in like 2002. Like I said, sample like the Good Times um intro theme, and um I'm sure you heard it back then because it came out in 2002, and it wasn't really a popular song. It was just like one of those 2000s hit. It was just like one of those many one hit wonders that came out in the 2000s. I'm pretty sure you can find the video here on YouTube if you look up Be Rich. But Teddy was in it. They were all having a good time or whatever. But it was funny because, like I said, just 2 years, mm, about 3 years prior to that video, whatever, dude was struggling. Like he was literally the person my father was warning me about. He was literally working like at a gas station. He because he had knocked some girl up in high school, and he was like, "Man, I should have been more like you." I was like, he was, and which is funny because he was probably making more money at the gas station than I was working at Sears. But his face looked aged, and he was like I said, he was a year or two younger than me. So the fact that he looked he looked older. The fact that he looked older than me was I was like that was kind of wild. He's like, man, I should have been like you. He said, I should have studied and went to school and all this and took school more seriously. Because he just looked like I said, he probably made more money than I did as a blue collar worker, but he looked completely drained. And the dude already had wrinkles, and I was like I was only 21 at the time, so couldn't have been he couldn't have been older than 20. He was probably like 19, 20 at the time. And dude was stressed. Like he already had like wrinkles, like premature wrinkles. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Wait, was it 99? Or was it when I worked Sears? Because I worked at Sears twice. I came back after I graduated college. For my first degree, I no after what was it? No, I think it's when I came back from my deployment because I couldn't deploy. Well, I couldn't deploy because because of my dietary restraints, so they didn't let me deploy to Kuwait with my unit. And so I had re got I had taken back my old position at Sears before I would decide to go back to College Park. And I think that might have been when I saw him, not in '99. It might have been in 2004. Either way, we would have still been in our early 20s. So it would have been crazy to see someone already with premature wrinkles in their early 20s. So that lifestyle caught up with him. That was the very thing my father warned me about. It's funny, like you don't listen to your parents, like when you in that that adolescent headspace where you think you know everything, and then you get into your 20s and 30s and your 40s, and you realize they were right about a lot of stuff they were telling you. You just didn't want to listen. So anyway, all that's to say that if you're nerdy, you don't have to hide it. Like nerd culture is now celebrated, and even in the places where it's not celebrated, just be you. Um, the funny thing is, because nerd culture is celebrated, they don't even call nerds anymore. They just call them squares or lanes, which is effectively the same thing, because nerd doesn't have the same stigma that it once did. Carlos has embraced being smart. Like I said, I do. Well, I won't say I'm smart, but I embrace like being myself now, whereas I didn't when I was younger. Like I used to, people didn't know I loved classical music. I will only play it at home occasionally, even though I love Baroque classical music. Um, I used to do poorly in math, but when I would be privately, when I would get like when I was like getting private instruction from the teacher, I was actually enjoying it, and the teacher could tell I was actually enjoying it. Um, so they would be kind of disappointed with me in class that I wouldn't apply myself, being that they know that I actually enjoy doing it. The math pause. um, And but yeah, so e- embrace being smart. Embrace if you're a nerd, and you know, embrace being a nerd. If you're a geek, you're into stuff like D&D, or you were one of those kids that were into stuff like Beyblades and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. You know, you don't have to hide that stuff anymore. Definitely don't do it for the bitches because most of them aren't even worth it. That's another thing. Trying to appeal to the girls when you're young, don't do it. There's much better girls you'll come across when you get older. And on top of that, the ones when you're younger, they're gonna leave like they may let you clap, but they're not gonna help you succeed, and they're gonna eventually abandon you when you can't provide what they want. So then they go for the guys that they ignored when they were your age. So yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Now I'm gonna be in a search to get something to eat, maybe some pie. um, but that's about it. Um, so that's I guess that's all I'm gonna say about Pie Day, and then for this Ask Me Anything format. I think tomorrow I'm gonna go back to my religious discussions. But I'm gonna try not to make it too cerebral, just because I think that may have turned off a lot of people. It might have been too cerebral for some people. Rock is about to get some poutine pie. You know it. You know what the Rock likes. Well, I got the misses for that, so um, yeah, get that ube pie if you get the Filipino reference there, the ube pie. Which, by the way, they do actually sell ube pie at Jollibee. You can actually get ube pie at Jollibee. I don't like ube. My friend, he loves ube. He loves everything ube. I can't stand it. To me, it's just a purple yam, which actually that's pretty much what it is. To me, it's just a purple yam. It's not naturally sweet. So it has to be sweetened when you add it as some sort of dessert. The only time I actually like ube is in halo halo, which is another dessert from the Philippines, which combines like fruit and ube and ice cream and some other stuff, and it's really good. You can buy it as street food, or you can get it from a restaurant. But yeah, uh, if there's a Jollibee's around your way, Carlton, yeah, check it out. Like they have ube pie, um, or if you can find or if there's like a Southeast Asian or Filipino market or restaurant nearby, you'll probably find ube. You might be able to find it at H Mart as well. I'm not sure, but you can try H Mart if there's an H Mart around you. I also have an H Mart down the street from me as well, so it's cool. So we have because right in Ellicott City, Maryland, there's a Koreatown. So we have like so I have like H so I have like H Mart uh right there. It's like a whole little center full of Korean owned um stores that go all the way up Route 40, going going towards Columbia. Then going the other way in Catonsville, there's a Chinese supermarket. So um and then in Owens Mills there actually is a Filipino market. It's not a full-fledged supermarket. So it's a smaller it's a chain grocery, but they're not like supermarket. It's just like a smaller size um, market, and it's called V Mart. Vmart is a Filipino market, and I'm pretty sure they would probably have ube there as well. But like I said, I don't crave ube, but you might like it. Like I said, you'll know it's purple, um, and like so it's often used as a filling in a lot of sorts of desserts the Filipinos eat, even in moon cake, which is typically a Chinese dish for like Lunar New Year, for Chinese New Year. They will eat stuff like moon cake, but the Filipinos make a version of the moon cake where the filling is ube. So anyway, you can check that out. And Jollibee's is a great place to check out anyway, because even though they're everywhere in the Philippines, so the quality will differ according to which store. Here, because there's so few of them, they're pretty high quality. Like when they came out, when the Jollibee opened 2 years ago here in Maryland in Wheaton, it was rated the best fried chicken in the state of Maryland. So that was a big up to them. Anyway, I'm about to go. All these little retards are coming on here, like Robert Wilson, 62862, fucking retard, and a faggot at that. So I'm gonna go. um, and catch you later. I'm gonna do my religious discussion tomorrow, but again, I'm not gonna try to make it something cerebral where I'm gonna be using the Google AI to like break stuff down and all that. I'm trying to make it more conversational. All right, bro. Talk to you later. Um, and for everyone watching this broadcast on replay, you can keep the conversation going in the comments. Tell me if you did anything for Pi Day, if you got any pi, or if you actually tried to solve to the next decimal place, because it's a what do you call it? Is it uh, um not an undefined number? It's a irreg was it irregular number or whatever. So it keeps going. Like we don't we don't believe that there is a end to the number. So you can see, you can Google how far people have actually gotten so far. Um, I remember in school we only went to like maybe the fourth or fifth decimal place at most. But anyway, I'm out. Peace.